Good afternoon, Josh. Thank you for taking some time out and getting involved in Business Owner Spotlight. Would you like to go ahead, tell us all a bit about yourself and a bit about your business?
Yeah, my name's Josh, as you just said. I would be a digital entrepreneur. I actually worked a bit in the family business, for a while, trained under my father, left there, moved to Germany, joined, a gaming company that became the fastest growing German tech company back in about 2014. Left that to become a pro gamer, Twitch streamer sort of a guy. Did that, wanted to do a bit of work on the side, found another business. When I moved back home to Northern Ireland, found another business that was just starting off in a garage down in Carlingford in County Louth. I'm selling vaporizers. Um, we took that business. Well, I basically joined that business as their head of marketing. And we took it public on the Canadian Stock Exchange. It went to $1 billion. Left it, started with a lot of my other colleagues as well. Started a consultancy, sort of performance marketing, whatever you want to call it, firm. Bunch of guys who like to grow websites, essentially, especially in the e-commerce world, and SaaS world, and a few other bits like this. But a group of guys who all left, created a company called Fatfish. Been doing that for a long time. Done a few other startups in the meantime as well. And I'm now also back in full loop, full circle, helping the family out in their family business as well to see what can be done there because it helps everybody.
Awesome. So yeah, pretty varied approach. And to be honest, probably the one I'm most intrigued by is the pro gamer, but it's probably not a great conversation for this forum. So yeah, so tell me more about the going from the
It's still
garage
marketing
to
a
the.
brand. It's still marketing a brand. You know,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
yeah.
So, well, tell me more about the going from the garage to the Canadian Stock Exchange. That sounds interesting. What was that journey like?
It was very interesting because obviously I was playing the games, and that was sort of like a passion industry. There was a lot less money in it all the way back then, 10 years ago, than there is now. And I figured, okay, I need to make sure, like, I was actually in a very good corporate job. As I said, I was doing international sales in Germany there, and it was a fast growing company. We were 100 people to 1,000 people in no time. It was fantastic. It was like
Hmm?
the only thing that could have made me leave was the fact that, hey, do you want to just play games full time? I'm like, yeah, it's my childhood dream. But anyway, I'm like, okay, no, I need a long term plan here. So uh I actually, what I funnily enough did is I made a web crawled for a bunch of emails on the internet, replaced the location and the company name based on some queries to the people's names, sent it out to about 1,000 people. One person got back to me, and they were in Carlingford, and they were, also as casual as myself. It's like, listen, you can stay engaged. I'm not going to hold you too committed to anything here. It was like nothing's too extreme. Started working with them, and it was, funnily enough, it was, so he was working with this Canadian company, like that was it, a Canadian company who were selling essentially vaporizers, all types of vaporizers, from wax vaporizers, e-cigarettes, sort of vaporizers, dry herb vaporizers, and everything. Out in North America, I worked with them for a bit, went public. They were doing pretty much all PPC at the time. They lost their PPC because like essentially all the vaporizer space, like at the end of the day, it's very wide ranged. Um, wasn't allowed to do paid marketing anymore. So they
Okay.
lost all of this, and they were sort of left stranded after, and that literally happened. Raised about $1 million, went public, I think, at $15 million valuation, lost their PPC capabilities, went straight down to a $3 million valuation within about 3 months after going public. So not happy days for everybody.
No.
I kind of walked in a bit and was like a bit smugly, like, hey, listen, look, this is grand. We've still got a good brand presence. Like the SEO site's done badly. Like we'll grow like 8% a month, and we'll just do that for a few years, and we'll be fine. And I remember talking to a few guys, and they were like, in the board, they were like, if you can do this, this is fantastic. So long behold, started that, and I remember day one. after losing everything, our sales were down to about 137,000 Canadian dollars, I believe. They're not very high on a monthly basis. We have no paid, there's no paid sources you can use here. Everything had to be content marketing, UX, CRO, SEO. Like they're basically the only tools at your disposal. The affiliate marketing, you don't get me started. Like it's a, if you can't have if you can't have your organic base covered and you need to go and pay for your business, you shouldn't be doing it yet. So I
Fair
worked
enough,
in the
yeah.
space there. And, at Wine Ford, I think that was in February 2015, that was the rock bottom. But I believe it was at Christmas 2017 to 2018, we had already got ourselves from $137,000 organically to about $2 million a month more in
Wow.
sales, but with no paid marketing done. That was all just using data-based SEO and CRO, like basically create content that brings traffic into your website, convert it into your customer, continue. Don't waste money on any other avenue. WhatsApp, we've raised another $5 million or $8 million, it's fine, but just increase the content production and increase what works. As long as this doesn't cap out, the ROI is fantastic. Let's just keep doing this. So we kept doing that, and then luckily for us, following up in the vaporizer space, it's quite broad, and there's one type of vaporizer, which obviously does oils, and there's another one that can do dry herbs. And in Canada,
Yeah.
a fair chance the of all industries, which we didn't quite expect to start, the cannabis industry started to make a run, and
Okay.
these devices were applicable there, and we saw the companies all go. Obviously, the reason we decided to go that route was because these companies were all public, their valuations were all through the roof, and it was like, okay, let's jump into there where we can get a 20 times, 30 times revenue valuation on the business, and
Yeah.
we jumped in, and that's what happened. The stock went to, when day one the stock was 3 cents, and by Christmas 2017 or the new year 2018, the stock was trading above $3, and it was
Wow.
just happy days for everybody involved.
Very good. And yeah, so it's all just down to getting the right marketing, test and measure, see what works, and go big on it.
Yeah, definitely in this case, like that's skipping the like in marketing, like when you do marketing, there's a lot of elements that can be very risky. And there's also a lot of elements that don't require upfront investment. At the same, well, when I say don't require upfront investment, okay, when you go to university, you're taught this thing. Find your product fit, your marketing mix, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Find the product no one has, shove it into the space. You've done all this, and then pour money on it and hope it sticks. And people still stick to that nowadays. But how is it that's still the marketing method that we use when on the other side of the spectrum, you can have 4 kids in a dorm room create $1 billion industry with next to no investment? Like, look at a bunch of those. How is it? Like, I've got another SaaS business, like I'm helping another SaaS business. It no investment. It's, it's sitting there. It's got now 5,000 customers, 500 repeat, $100 a month sort of customers on it. It's called By the Numbers. It's a Shopify analytics app, because obviously, like, we do a lot of analytics. We do some e-commerce. So By the Numbers is a Shopify analytics app. And it didn't require lots of money, lots of PPC. Like, you were able to use lots of organic marketing as well there. So it's like, when you have all of this stuff, like, why is it that we still stick to this old-fashioned format? So for me, it was like, if you think about this concept, you can take any topic and say, okay, what are the core bits of this topic? You cover the core bits of that topic. You say, okay, let's attack the first niche. You go down that first niche, and that first niche could be anything to any degree. Sorry, I'm going to be cold there. And you go down to that niche and you say, okay, in this niche, what are like the top 10 biggest topics? And if you write content and you think about how quick you can write content, if it's good and you have knowledge in it, you can produce in a week, like less in 3 days, you could produce about 10 articles if you really wanted to, that are like insightful. Now, even if those 10 articles, and it could be literally in coaching, it could be in B2B marketing, it could be in anything. But even if those only got 10 views a month, like even if each post only got 10 views a month, but you've done 10 a week for 52 weeks, and that's 520 articles, that's 5,200 traffic, and then you work to convert that at 2.56%, what does that turn into in a business? That turns into a massive business. Then you're making a steady stream of income. You haven't had to pay for it. Now you go to do PPC. What's my budget? Well, it's 20, spend 20 or 30% of that organic budget. And then when you go into the PPC or paid world, at the end of the day, and I'm sorry I get long-winded here, but I'm explaining it, it's by top level marketing 101. When you go into the world of paid marketing, this is not like, it's not like advertising in, the year 2000s, like the way I was taught in uni. We're living in a world of algorithms, bidding. You're bidding on keywords, you're bidding on programmatic advertising, you're bidding on everything. So if you're all in a world of bidding, and Scott comes out with his product and it costs $100, I come out with my product, it costs $100. We both spend £100 or $100 or whatever to market it, right? We come out with a zero at the bottom. We've made no money. But I also have organic. I organically also get $100 of I get organically without paid. So wait a minute, I come out with $100. Now the thing is, I look at you and I'm like, I want to take you out of the market. I'm going to spend $150, only make $100, but make my $100 organic, and you're not going to lose money. You get the full power. So the person who wins at the end is the person who wins organic. And that's who I am. I'm the guy who wins that, who champions that little organic vessel that essentially gives companies the power to win everywhere. Because the PPC valve, the paid marketing valve, is quite easy to turn on. It's like, at the end of the day, if you do not have a massive or a big chunk, or you do not win on the organic side of things, you'll always get this bit where you hit a plateau. People start to sort of say, like, well, I can't achieve these CPAs. How are these companies all going bust? Well, I know why they're not. And that's me.
Yeah. And so essentially, when you're doing the organic, I mean, essentially, if the organic's working, it's good. So it won't work otherwise. Whereas the paid is just really whoever wants to pour the most money on it, as you said.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have two people in the room pouring money onto the same thing, it's like, who's really going to win? Again, it's going to be the person. Yeah. And you can see it two ways. Don't get me wrong. Brand is organic too. It's either going to be the person with the biggest brand or the biggest organic presence. Do you know what I mean? But that's basically it.
But the interesting thing is, you just you strip that right back, and you can do that for any brand. But essentially, you've done it in a brand that went and floated on a stock exchange.
Yeah. So
I mean, it'll happen small before it happens big, and you've proven that.
But it's not just that one. So the business before, that was in Germany, that was a premium gaming company of all things. It was like, think of Clash of Clans. It was a competitor there, and it's if you think of there, same concept, fastest growing German tech company that year. Next one, same concept, $1 billion stock. Next, went in and we've worked with loads of brands now. Just been doing that with loads of people. And I suppose I got into a format where, if I'm not doing it for myself, one of the things I do like to do is I like to talk to people who are interested in actually learning how to grow their business. Like, they have an interest, like a real desire to go, okay, I want to understand this bit. I have a weakness here. Because there's a thing, like, don't get me wrong, I get a lot of this, especially where we're from, like in Northern Ireland. You get a lot of these people. It's like, I have this business, I know what I'm doing, I blah, blah, blah. I've run it for 40 years. And I'm like, that's fine, go for it. I don't know your business. But I'm not here to sort of like be the lapdog that covers this part. Like, that's not, but that doesn't tickle my fancy. What I like is for a business owner to say, okay, things are going digital. I mean, they're meeting with me in the first place, which I find bizarre, because it's like, you're coming to me because you clearly have a weakness, or you're noticing something's wrong, but you're telling me, go do this and leave me alone. I'm like, no, it's like, it's no sense. Because then I know those relationships, and those sort of ones, these agency style typical relationships fall apart eventually all the time. You hear agencies go in cycles and cycles, because at the end of the day, there's two sides of that. Either one, the person who owns the business doesn't really know what's going on, and I suppose that is the fault of the agency, I suppose. Or number two, the agency's literally pulling the wool over your eyes. It's going to be one of those two things, right?
Okay, yeah.
Third one could be the agency owner, or not the agency owner, the person genuinely has paid no interest in it.
Yeah.
So the sort of angle is, and for me, I love people who literally realize the world's going digital, and they want to sort of figure out, okay, how is this? My trade shows aren't doing everything anymore. The clicky trade, like all these cliques are now lots of talking and no action. Where's all the action at? It's online. How do I do this? And I love to sit. And the only time I usually work with people nowadays outside of my own businesses is I will literally like, I will talk to you once a week or once every 2 weeks. I'll sit there, we'll figure out what you've got around you, figure out a plan, and all the weak spots or the bits that would technically cost too much money or be very complex to do, I'll do those little bits, like the really nerdy bits, because I know how to set up an href lang deck, like an href lang declaration really easily on SEO or whatever. I know how to go and launch up that testing software that won't cost you anything, and I'm not going to charge you £1,000 to go and do one A/B test. I'm just going to.
Sure.
It takes me 2 hours to do. I'll just do it, man. Like I don't mind. It's like I satisfy that need because it's like, and that's basically what I like to do. So I work with a few people like this.
And have you got like a niche, somebody you particularly like to work with, or is it people who are at a certain level or, in a certain space? Or
I love people who are, I love startups. Day one startups, don't get me wrong, there's a certain element of like, I don't think that, well, being around for that long is up to a bit. Okay, to cut the story short, I suppose, yes, I do have a favorite. I like people who are usually in and around about 10 to 100,000 in revenue that want to get to like 1 to 2 million in revenue in like a 5-year space of time. And I also like working with people who have a very large brands, who've exercised the paid marketing, who have, don't understand the organic part and want to make themselves strong there. And they're my two favorite types, yeah. But at the end of the day, my favorite niche is people who want to understand it.
Yeah, and I do get the impression you're only going to work with people and brands that you love. You know what I mean? You're not going to take it just for the sake of it.
It's got to be fun, yeah.
Yeah, you want challenge, really.
Yeah. The challenge for me is, that my fuel is seeing the founder or whoever's running that business get really excited or feel really happy, and seeing some elements of stress leave them and getting to know them, forming a friendship. I usually always do friendships, relationship. When I work with somebody, it lasts very long. It usually lasts very long, yeah.
And so tell me then, just a bit more about yourself. What would you say, you've been involved in multiple businesses. What would you say has been your biggest learning as a business owner, that we could share with maybe some of the people who's going to watch this?
The hardest thing to learn is how to keep energy up and be super enthusiastic about pretty much everything. While also understand, I don't want to say something like failing fast because it's just too generic now, but literally not lying to yourself. Look at the data. Don't lie to yourself. Like, I want to say, it's a better way to say it. That's one I'm used to, but yeah, it's a lot of people can get carried away. A lot of people can get it. In fact, and hire slowly. That would be it. Hire slowly. Don't lie to yourself, and focus on every part of your business that can generate value without human capital. And once those parts start to peak, then start to hire. Literally push those revenues as much as you can. If you want to start a business and actually have some peace of mind, that's what you need to do. Yeah.
So basically systemize it before you would employ anybody.
Systemize it, yeah, 100% systemize it. If you're not systemizing it, I mean, fair enough, you can have 3 guys in a room or something, but any more is pointless. Like, if you got 10 people kicking around without a system, it's utterly pointless. Yeah, I can guarantee you I could walk into that place and I'll say these 3 people are doing 90% of the work in here.
Yeah. That was very cool. So look, last question, favorite question I ask everybody comes on. If you could go back and speak to like an 18-year-old Josh, what piece of advice would you give him?
You don't want to.
I don't want to know.
I wouldn't want to say what it would be because I don't like what it is.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's reflective of a lot of styles of community, but like, you know what, I'll say it because maybe it'll help someone, but it'll make me sound like a bit of a miserable sort. But like, in business, like when it comes to business, everyone there at the end of the day is there to make money. It's not a family.
Yeah,
right?
that's
It's
true. Yeah,
not. They're there to make money. And yes, you can have great relationships and it can be great fun. And you can really get to know these people. But at the end of the day, never let yourself feel emotionally or personally invested into things that stop you from making intelligent decisions. Yeah.
I'm glad you said it. It's pretty sound advice. We want to get away from emotional decisions and make logical decisions, basically.
Yeah, like you always sit there and think about in business, there's your business and then there's yourself. And you need to make sure you're making the best decisions for the business and the best decisions for yourself. And remember, don't do anything because that guy's your mate or because you're all a family.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying screw anyone over or be
No, no,
nasty,
no. Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's just like if I could have gone back, there's certain times where, you know, it was all for the family and I was the last one out the door. Let's put it that way. Because
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
was it not all for the family? What's happened here?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. And at the end of the day, you got to protect yourself and make the right decision, as you say. So listen, I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you for being so open and honest. Brilliant, fascinating story. Some cool stories in there and some cool numbers as well. So thank you for getting involved, Josh.
No worries. Thank you very much.